Hello everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and today I would like to share with you guys how I do maintenance on some of my knives. Now what you see here is my Chris Reeve knife Small Sebenza. I recently went snorkeling and I took this with me into the water twice, and it's been sitting now with crusty salt water on it. Have I noticed any corrosion? No. Have I noticed any change in the materials or how things feel or the blade? No. Have I noticed anything in the action? Yes, I have. It seems as though the salt water kind of washed away whatever little bit of lubrication there was. So we're gonna go ahead and just do a little tear down and a little cleanup. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, nothing complicated. What I'm gonna be using here to tear down is a little Allen key that comes with it. Two different sizes at either end. I don't have it on my actual little driver because I don't really have a lot of knives that require that. Other little things that I'm going to be using and would definitely highly recommend to do maintenance on anything that's running on washers is a leather strop. Here you see the NAFSCO leather strop. I highly recommend this product. I use it every single day for all of my knives, and I just use the compound that already comes with it, and this being preloaded, it definitely lasts a long time. Also, I'm going to be using some KPL products here. I'm going to use some ultralight and then also some Lockstick medium hold. I forget what the number is on this, but this is the liquid stuff. This is like the glue stick kind of material. So it's mainly going to be for the pivot, not really the body screws, because I've never really experienced body screws coming apart on me. So we're going to go ahead and do that. The tolerances and the quality of the hardware is insane. You can literally just undo it just like that. Pretty freaking sweet. That's really the only knife I've ever been able to, say that it has some of the best hardware. It's just some of the smoothest threads I've ever experienced. If you own a Chris Reeve knife, yeah, you know that they're good. Real simple, easy stuff to work with. Typically no complications. And now, I don't want to rile anybody up, but I don't do tear down and reassemble how they tell you to reassemble the handle, and then you kind of sandwich the blade with the washers stacked all together. I don't do it. I treat this knife like any other one of my knives because it's a freaking knife and it's also mine. I can do whatever I want with it. So I've never experienced any issues or anything like that before. Now, I have owned a previous Chris Reeve knife, just a smaller version. Not the smaller version, but it was just a different blade shape. That's all it was. It was recently sold. If the person who bought that is a subscriber, thank you. Because of you, I have something very special on the way sometime this week. And I'm gonna be super excited to share that with you guys. That drop point small 31 that I sold, I know I went to a good home, and with what I got from that through the sale, I was able to pick up something really special, something really fancy from NAF Sale. So Eric, the guy who runs the NAF Sale site, the place where I do all my sales, he went to Blade Show recently and picked up a lot of cool stuff, like a lot of really cool stuff. So definitely a shout out to him for sure. And yeah, I've been selling on NAF Sale. If anybody's curious on how it works, it's pretty freaking easy, pretty straightforward. NAF Sale is selling a knife for dummies, essentially. It's a very simple process, the way that everything's set up. Of course, there are service fees and little things like that, but it's more than reasonable for for the actual services that are provided. So here I'm just taking a little microfiber cloth and putting a bunch of acetone on it, and I'm just going to be giving everything a little wipe down. There is some like debris and residue here left over by the bronze washers there, and they look like they're almost full copper, but I did have a viewer tell me that washers could be of different concentrations of like bronze and copper. So you'll see some washers that are more goldish, right, having a higher content of bronze, and then other knives with washers having a higher content of copper. I personally don't and have never really noticed any difference between the two. Also putting some acetone on the micarta inlays there is going to kind of clean them up, almost reset them in a way. And then of course your natural hand oils over time will go and kind of rehydrate them, or you could just put mineral oil on them and just kind of make them you know, nice and rich looking again. But here we're just doing very simple bare bones cleanup. I do see some buildup in those washers. They just look really freaking dry. Also check out the blade here and the bushing that's on the inside. We'll take that out, give that a once over with the cloth. Yeah. All right. Not too bad, nothing too crazy. I don't see anything out of the ordinary, and I wouldn't expect to see anything crazy, honestly, because you know, all the materials that are using here are pretty corrosion resistant for the most part, and I'm pretty sure all the hardware and stuff is steel. While I have everything out, I can check that. Maybe not. Actually, yeah, stuff is sticking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all that. Yeah, all this stuff is steel, except the backspacer, this little guy back here. Not the bushing, the actual little backspacer. That is a titanium piece. I know for a fact because you can anodize it, along with the lanyard tube that is also titanium, so that can be anodized if anybody's curious. All right, so blade's clean. Go ahead and just wipe these guys down. Yeah, they just look kind of rough looking, but it's gonna be real easy cleanup. I'm gonna go ahead and just rub one on each side on the little strop, but I want to get them clean for the most part before I put them on the strop, because I don't want any like weird debris or substances getting onto that and then messing with the actual compound that's already preloaded on there. Yeah, just a lot of gunks just coming off of these. Like they just look super dried out, just kind of gross. Here's the bushing. Let's go ahead and just give it a little wipe. Nothing crazy. You know what would be awesome if I had some common sense and got some Q-tips, because that would have been wonderful right about now. But seeing as I don't, yeah, we're just making do with what we have here. All right, pull that through, give it a little twisty twist, make sure there's nothing in there. It looks nice and clean, nice and shiny. We can go ahead and bust out the little strop. And just take one of these guys and hit them on both sides, just kind of circular motion, kind of going back and forth. Trust me, this makes a huge difference. And just like 30 seconds on each side, you are not, no way in hell are you going to be removing a significant amount of material to actually wear these down to the point where you will have to replace them or damage the knife. It's really just to remove any kind of like just built up grime on the actual washers. So another cool little thing with the design of the washers that they use is that having the holes there kind of traps lubrication within the holes while keeping the knife extremely tight and well put together. So when reassembling, and what I've experienced, I've only experienced 2 different Chris Reeve knives, but you gotta crank down on them. Like, you really do gotta crank down on them to have it to where you have 0 play, 0 lock stick. But even still, no matter how much I've ever cranked down on this one or the one I had previously, I never really saw a change in the action. And that's because lubrication is always at 100% availability because it's trapped within those holes. So here you can see very light pressure. I'm not grinding down on this thing, and it's just a circular pattern. Of course, going back and forth. The longer you do it, the shinier it'll be. but you're not looking for like a super crazy polish finished. I'm sure that you can. Sorry, that was a firework or an explosion. I don't know. I live in the hood. Could be both. Probably is both. But you're not looking for a super crazy polish. You're just trying to bring back that sheen and get rid of that really dull look. And then once you know you are satisfied with how clean they look, you can go ahead and give them a little wipe again with preferably a clean cloth and some more acetone. And then we will go ahead and start reassembling and applying some KPL. As you can see, nice and shiny. There's still a little bit of stuff right there, but I personally don't really care. But yeah, looks nice and consistent, nice, bright, and shiny. In comparison to the other one has a little bit of discoloration and just looks like it has stuff built up on it. So we want to reset it in a way. Again, light pressure, both sides is making contact with the blade and also direct contact with the titanium itself. It would have been really cool if somehow there was like steel plates that this can rub against polished steel plates, because the actual finish on the titanium, I know for a fact, hinders the smoothness just a little bit. And I'll show you guys in a sec, you know, any wear that it's already done in my time owning this knife. The little washer, it's usually a little bit easier to clean up. But yeah, it's a very simple, easy process. And this step, while it's not, you know, super necessary, it, in my experience, it has made a big difference in the process of breaking one of these knives in. And after doing this probably about 3 times, basic maintenance, basic use, and things like that, I mean, you got to carry the knife too and actually use it, or just couch flip it like a ninja. It's okay, it's not a big deal. But actually using the knife and deploying it a bunch will break it in, and it will polish the blade itself. The tang of the blade down here, as you can see, it's been, you know, heavily worn down and polished. Originally it was all, you know, stone wash, but you can see that just the friction there, it's wearing itself in, and eventually it'll get shinier and shinier and a lot more consistent all throughout. So those are nice and clean now. Let's check out those scales. Yeah, you can see that there's like that little ring around it, and it's clean. Like, this is clean now. Maybe I can clean it a little bit more. But you know, eventually it'll start to wear down even the titanium and make it a little bit shinier. You can see that there are some spots that just they have a little bit of shine to them, a little sheen to them. But all right, that's pretty much it. Let's start to reassemble this. And again, I reassemble a Chris Reeve knife the same way I reassemble any other knife. It's nothing fancy. I personally have never experienced any issues with doing it my way, because my way is, I mean, never had an issue with it. So just gonna go ahead and do that. We have the back spacer, we have the lanyard with the lanyard tube already. Did I put that in the wrong spot? No, did I? Yes, no, I didn't. It's just kind of tight right there. You know what? That doesn't even go there. I think this goes up here. Yeah, that goes there. This, the tube, the one with less debris on it. So this is the one for the pivot. This is the one for that. They are interchangeable. It's the same piece of hardware. Go ahead, put that on there. Then we can put the, that's the bushing. This is the titanium little standoff in the back. Okay. That's it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now we can go ahead and put the little guy on there. Let me give this pivot a little cleanup real quick. Let me get some of that stuff off of there. Cleans up pretty easily. Thankfully there wasn't anything built up on there too bad. Let's get this little guy on there. Doesn't really matter which side. Can put some lubrication on there. Just a little bit. Nothing crazy. Do the bushing. Center it. Alright. Almost there. Almost there. Okay. Centered. Now we can put just a little bit on the bushing itself. I kid you not, just the slightest little bit on there. Set the blade. Compress the actual frame lock a little bit to make sure it's sitting all the way down. We can stack the other washer. Put some lubrication on there. Just a little bit. A little bit more. And everybody puts more or less. It's up to you. So in my experience, I think I'm putting only a little bit, but I actually end up putting more than I think that I am. And eventually, you know, I'm just wiping away a bunch of it after the knife has been reassembled, but that's all right. So let's go ahead, and everything should just kind of snap together at this point, as long as it's centered, which it's not. Okay, come on. All right, well, a little backspacer piece just fell out. Let's get that back on there. Lanyard, stay, please. All right, good to go. All right, now we can start putting all the hardware back on. Where's my driver? Oh, I don't even have the driver. Where's the key? There it is. Found it. I believe the short ones, no. The long ones, I think, are for the pivot. I'm not sure. I always get this mixed up. I hate it. Always get them mixed up. Well, we'll see right now. Yeah, that's fine. So the shorter screws are for the body. I really gotta get an actual driver with this Allen key shape, because using the actual key kind of sucks. Okay, where does this one go now? This one goes on the other side. Yeah, man. I hate how they just flop around until they get caught. There it goes. Snug it down just a little bit, and then we'll go once over after everything's kind of set for the most part and just start to tune it a little bit. Tuning a knife is very easy. It's just kind of, you know, fiddling with some of the tension on the hardware until everything is just right. Now the knife is almost perfectly centered. I know it's just going to take a little bit of torquing down on that pivot. We can go ahead and just kind of tighten everything else up, and I'm going to put some Loctite on the pivot itself. Good. And we can back out the pivot. Just put a little bit of Loctite, nothing crazy. Now, I do recommend the stick more than the liquid stuff, because the liquid stuff is just so, well, excuse me, the viscosity of the liquid stuff, it is so freaking loose that it'll actually bleed into everything else, and it's a nightmare. If you guys have other knives that run on washers, once you guys get some lock stick in those washers or in that pivot system, you're done for. You gotta strip the knife apart, clean everything. With this stuff, because it's of a much solid state, really easy to work with. You don't want to put too much, just a little bit. Don't glob it on there. And that's it. Now, I will say that this one, for whatever reason, it was a little bit easier to assemble than my other one, but even still, both very, very easy to take apart and disassemble. And you know what? I didn't do this the traditional way or the right way to take apart and do maintenance on a Sebenza. Got it back together, and you know what? It's freaking perfect. So the knife definitely speaks for itself. You can do it the traditional way, constructing the handle and then sandwiching the washers and the blade together and sliding it in there and making a huge freaking mess. Or you can just do it the normal way, like a normal person. So yeah, that's it. That is maintenance with the Chris Reeve knife. And pretty much how I do a lot of my other knives, just trying to stay clean. That's it, making sure everything is nice and tight and centered. Zero side to side, up or down, non-existent, and pivot, not going anywhere. So this is, oh, that's so good. That is so good. Now, when it was all dried out and stuff from the ocean water, it just felt really dry. That's all it was. It didn't feel crunchy or gunked up at all, but you can definitely tell there is a big difference between what I'm feeling here, and I wish I could share this with you over screen, some philo vision or something, but it is a night and day difference. It is super smooth, and eventually as that lubrication starts to break down a little bit, I'll be able to actually flick this knife comfortably to the point where it locks up all the way. It's gonna take a second, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. It has a little bit different content. I like to try different stuff here and there. But if you guys did enjoy it, go ahead and leave a like down below and subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. And with all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.